Right, today then we are doing a nap sauce. Nap being short for Napoli, I guess. So this was actually taught to me by my Italian friends when I was living in Peterborough. We had quite a large group of Italian friends, quite a large Italian community there. And this is one of their like go-to recipes, if you like. So it's super cheap, super basic. A lot of the Italians I knew came from deep down south where it was quite a poor fishing areas. So a lot of the food that we used to make was not expensive, if you like. I've got my tomatoes here, onions. Now usually I would use brown onions, but I only had red onions in quantities. That's my last brown onion. So we've used what we've got. It's onion. It's not going to matter. Garlic, obviously the tomatoes. And this here is red wine vinegar. If you've got cooking wine or wine that you like to cook with, use that. You don't actually have to use it. It's not important, but this is the way I was taught to cook it. So I'm just showing you that. And then you can improvise. Sugar, salt, pepper. That is all you need to make nap sauce. Now, I've got rather a large selection of cans here. You can make this with fresh tomatoes, by the way. So in the summer or the end of the summer, if we get loads and loads of tomatoes, a big glut of tomatoes, or if you know anyone who's grown tomatoes and they've got loads, grab some and make this with fresh tomatoes and just see the difference. It's great. Right, so whenever I make this, I always make a big batch. The reason being because it doesn't take that much longer, and then I've got it for months and months and months. In fact, we're on our last jar now, and that's why I wanted to make some, and I thought I might as well show you what I do, and then maybe you might want to do it. The only thing that we've got at Food Share at the moment is lots of basil. I don't mean it's the only thing we've got. I mean the only ingredients that I've got here. I can definitely give you basil. I haven't got the basil out here. I've got it in the freezer because I didn't want it to turn to mush, because obviously we put it in the freezer when we get it. So I'll go and grab that out in a minute. But if you're going to use fresh basil, you just take it off the big long sticks and just tear the leaves. Don't cut it. When you cut into it, you kind of get that bruising, and you don't really want that. So just tear the leaves when you're ready to chuck them in. But we'll get to that in a bit. So our first job really would be to heat up our olive oil. Now I always use olive oil for this sauce because it is part of the flavour. Like I say, there's next to no ingredients there other than the basil. That's it. This does give it flavour, and I do use quite a lot of it, hence my lovely thighs. Well, I'm going to open some of these then and show you what I do. You're probably wondering, I've got two different types of tomatoes here, so you're probably wondering why I've left these two here like this. So quite often we buy chopped tomatoes because we think, it saves us loads of time and stuff like that. But look at the difference in quality. Now, both of these are budget tomatoes. Neither of them cost a fortune. I think they were like 28 pence a can, right? But look at the difference. See how watery and bleh that looks. And see how lovely and thick, just better quality. it looks if you get the tomatoes whole. Now, I'd never really thought about this before until I was working for Ruby June's. June never buys pre-chopped tomatoes. And so since then, I had to get these. But since I used to work for her, I don't buy them chopped now. Sadly, they'd run out when I wanted to make this sauce, so I had to buy some chopped tomatoes, but I did get 4 cans of full plum tomatoes. But it's kind of worth it. It's worth that extra effort to get a better quality product. So I just wanted to show you that. Right, I'm just going to blitz these up now, because obviously they're not blitzed up. So I'll do that, and then I'll show you exactly how I make this sauce. Just by magic. Right. Obviously, the ingredients list that I've posted is not for these quantities. I just can't make enough for one meal because it just seems silly to me, because I've always made big batches because that's how I was taught. These sneaky little ingredients here, they're just extras that I might add in later, and we'll talk about those in a bit. We just get our put our gas on. Now, if you did want to make a large batch like I am, just show you how much oil I've got in there. It's pretty much about a centimetre, just under a centimetre of oil. I kind of do it, instinctively? I don't know. But again, this is how I was shown to make it. It's like, I have a centimetre of oil and then fill it up with tomatoes. Don't be frightened by that much oil. I can imagine some people are like, oh my goodness, I couldn't, but you'll be surprised. Like, if you think I've got 14 cans of tomatoes here, so if you were doing this singly, if you like for one meal or whatever, you probably only use a couple of cans, maybe 3 at the most. How much oil would you be using? Do you know what I mean? Like, when you work it out, it's not really that different. So I'm going to get this up to shimmering. I've got about a pound of onions here, or 500 grams. The rest of my tomatoes. I'm probably going to use about 2 tablespoons of sugar. Probably going to use similar of salt. I'll start off with maybe a tablespoon of pepper. So that's only 3 teaspoons. Like, it sounds a lot when we say tablespoons, but really it's only 3 teaspoons. And again, if you are making a single batch, so, like when you think about how much you would use, you know, it's not that bad. That's 1 whole bulb of garlic, and it smells lush. If it's not, if they're not really that lush, I'd probably put more in. Now here, I've got the black olives left over from the farinata that we made last week. And I just like to, if I've got olives in the house, then I'll enrich it with some olives. It's nice to have that little bit of substance and chunk. I've also got oven dried tomatoes, and sometimes I like to chop those up and put them in just to add another kind of more depth of flavour, because this is just lovely as it is. Don't get me wrong, it really is lovely. But then, like, I haven't got any little children, so I kind of like little bits of things to bite and chew. And that's another thing. When I was first taught to do this, we used a baby moolie. Now, probably a lot of people won't know what one of those is, but it's how they make passata. It's basically like a sieve with a little handle, and you grind it. And I was going to kind of show you, but I don't know. But that's where you get passata from, passing it through the sieve, if you like. This stuff I've just blitzed up with a zhuzh. And these ones I've kept as chunks. If I had small children, I'd probably blitz the whole lot up and just use it like a passata. But like I say, we're grown-ups in our house and we like something to chew. So I just get this to shimmering. And you all know what shimmering oil looks like. And the first job is our onions. Probably hear that gentle sizzle. That's what we're looking for. We don't want them to burn as soon as we put them in the pan. Now, I'm a big fan of taking my time over this first stage of cooking. I think it makes all the difference. There's a lot of talk at the moment about umami, you know, that, is it the fifth flavour that people are going on about? That salty, savoury taste. Basically, it's like a deeper flavour. Well, I think you get that when you take your time over your food. So we're just going to cook these up and we're going to gently caramelise them. So I want them to get to that beyond translucent, but before they're taking on colour. We don't want any colour on them, but we want them really, really cooked. We want all the sugar to come out of them. We want all the flavour that's in there to come out. Because again, if you think about how many ingredients you've got here, like that you actually need, it's onions, olive oil, garlic, and then your seasoning. That's it. Tomatoes. Do you know what I mean? It's very few ingredients. But the way that we combine them together, that's how we're going to make it taste amazing, if you like. When I did this at WAC, we made arrabbiata. And arrabbiata sauce is pretty much the same, but it'll have a bit of spice in it, some chilli. And that's basically all you need. I've also got some capers here. If I've ever got capers in the house, I like to shove a few of those in as well, just because it just gives a little bit of something to chew on. But again, none of this is necessary. It's just because I've got it. If you want to come and grab some of your basil from Food Share, we'd love it. We've got quite a lot of bags of fresh herbs there. Fresh, frozen, you know. But come and grab some. Please use them. Because if you don't, they're just going to go in the bin. And that would really be a shame. And that's not what we're about. We're about saving food from the dustbin. Smells good. We're just going to let that bubble away for a bit. And I'll show you when it's done. Okay then, so if you want to just take a look at this, you will see they are not coloured at all. They've been cooking for at least 10 minutes. They might have even been cooking longer than that, to be fair. I haven't timed it, but I'm looking for them to be nicely, they're kind of being boiled really in the oil, aren't they? But a little bit translucent. Definitely cooked, fully cooked. I don't want any great big, and you'll notice I chopped the onion smallish, on the smallish side. So give that a couple more minutes. Like I say, the only thing that we don't want them getting coloured. Not because it will spoil the flavour, it's just because of how it looks, really. It's just nice to have them not coloured. Love the smell of olive oil. And you probably noticed there, like I was scraping that off the side. That's actually the onions, not the chunks of onion, but you know, I was talking about the sweetness of the onions. It's all kind of like congregating around the side there. So that's what you're looking for. That's what we're going for. Garlic. Yum. I do sometimes wonder, you know, like when people first discovered certain foods, how they decided that there was something they wanted to eat. Imagine eating raw garlic. I know some people that do. Smells good. Right, so we're just going to let that now, sweeten. We're going to wait until the raw smell has disappeared off the garlic. So we're not fully cooking the garlic. We just want that rawness to go. and that's an indicator that the sweetness is all coming out and the flavours are all amalgamating into each other. I don't know if that's the right word, but that's what I always think in my head. They're all kind of coming together and mixing up and becoming one. That is beautiful now. Garlic smelling lovely and sweet and fresh. So this is going to be interesting because I don't usually put it in the bowl first, but I wanted to show you. So I think what I might do, I might just get a cup or a ladle or something to scoop it in. Right, there we go then. You can see that's lovely and thick. It's going to be great. Alright, just going to add it all in there. So like I was saying earlier, I mean, if you've got young people in the house and they don't like bits, blend it all down and sieve it all out. It's all good. Sieve out any of the seeds. That's what I used to do when the children were younger. Right, here we go. Delicious. Get it all out. Turn that back up. Get these other choppers. Just give that a little stir. Go. Lush. Seasoning then. So, I've got my salt. Yep. Just give that stir in. You see all the oils just like drifted to the top. Now obviously I'm going to give you a guide for the seasoning, but season to taste, you know. If you don't like a lot of salt, don't put a lot of salt in there. If you like more salt than I use, obviously put a bit more in. Just make it the way you like it. Okay, and a little bit of either cooking wine or vinegar, not too much. Interesting. So I'm just going to bring that up to temperature now. And as you saw earlier, I've chopped up my little bits because I do like, if I've got them, I put them in, but they are not necessary for this recipe. It's a really, really simple recipe, but I'm going to put them in because I've got them. So let's put these in. It's just going to deepen the tomato flavour as well. And then my olives. A little bit of capers. Right, so we're just going to leave that now. We're going to bring that up to the boil, and then I'm going to put my basil in. I'll just get that up to temperature. And I'll go and get my basil out the freezer. Like I say, come along to the food share, come and grab your basil. Sometimes we have pasta there as well, so if you want to make it and you haven't got any pasta at home, come and grab some pasta too. Right, so I'm just starting off with one sugar. Let's see how that goes. So again, a nice, like last week, this is a nice gluten-free, dairy-free meal. Obviously, when you're eating it, you can use cheese to serve if you like. And something that I like to do sometimes, I don't do it all the time, is maybe put a bit of cream cheese in it, you know, not now, not at this stage, but when it's all fully cooked and I've like got my portion that I want to have for that day, sometimes I just mix it up a little bit and put maybe a couple of tablespoons of like Philadelphia or something. I usually use this, to be fair, unless Philadelphia's on offer, but stick a bit of that in there, and that just kind of like creams it up a bit. If you want a nice creamy sauce, it's lovely. If you want to use this on pizzas, you could use it as a pizza topping. Just cook it down a bit more, you know, reduce it, get rid of a lot more of the liquid so it's thicker. Or you could keep it as it is and just add some extra tomato puree to it. Like, honestly, it's delicious on pizzas. It'd probably be the best pizza topping that you've ever had. I don't know, you'll have to tell me if you use it that way. You can also make it a bit thinner and make a lovely tomato soup out of it. You know, that's why I really like to make loads, because it's so versatile. You can use it in so many ways. But the way that we mostly like to eat it is if we've come home from work, we've been really busy, can't be bothered to cook, nice jar of sauce. It's all there, lovely. Takes a couple of minutes, and as you all know, I cook a bag of pasta at a time, so there's usually some pasta there in the fridge. You know, like, it's just such an easy, cheap meal, and tasty and filling. So we're going to get this to the boil, put my basil in, I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll serve it. Now this is bubbling away nicely. Just gone and got my frozen basil. So yeah, just tear it. You don't want the big stalky bits in there. You want just the leaves, which is a bit trickier if you've frozen your basil in the bag that it come in. When I freeze basil at home, what I usually do is take the big stalks off, and then I just just freeze the actual leaves themselves. So in they go. I've got quite a lot of basil here, obviously, because I've got 14 cans of tomatoes in there. Right, I think they're mostly, take that stalk out. Like I say, we've got loads of this at Food Share, so please come and take some. We'd love it if you took some. Right, that's it, that'll do. Now, if you're using fresh basil, make sure you submerge it straight away. It's different because this has been frozen, so it's dark already. But you know, when you see basil and it's all lovely and vibrant and green, if you submerge it straight away, don't let it sit on the top, you'll maintain some of that lovely bright green colour. Right, so I'm just going to let that bubble away for another 5-10 minutes maybe. It's already been boiling for, well, not boiling, but cooking for about 20-25 minutes. Obviously it'll be a lot quicker when you're making a smaller amount, but yeah, mine's taken a bit longer, but then I'm only doing it once and it's done. And I don't know if you noticed when I was putting the basil in, it's a lot thicker. You know, it's thickening up because obviously we're boiling out some of that water, reducing it, making that sauce really lovely and juicy. I did taste it. It is absolutely amazing. Of course I could say that, can't I? Because you can't taste it. But it really is. I just love it. It's such a great dish. So cheap. And I like making it. Right. Let's get ourselves a bowl. This is my favourite part, when I get to taste things. And also, I thought, actually, because this doesn't take a long time to make, what I might do is take some out, put it in the thing, and show you what it's like with the Philadelphia, with the cream cheese, because it'll just take moments. And then I'll get a nice supper. Right. Let's give it a little stir. Don't forget to stir it from time to time. You don't want to keep taking the lid off and stirring it, because it will never cook. But you don't want it sticking to the bottom. So, did you see that lovely, like, sheeny sort of thing on the top? That's your oil. So most of it has actually incorporated into the tomato, but you do get that lovely glossy top. When it's like that, like, you'll notice when you're cooking it, like, there are separate components, and then they all just kind of come together at the end, and that's when you know it's done. It's ready to eat, and it's just like a little bit more viscous, like thicker. So let's get this plated up then. It's just so delicious. I love it. Put some in here, and I'll show you what I mean about doing a creamier sauce. So, and like I said, I've got chunks in mine, but if you want to blend yours right the way down, there you go. If you like a nice smooth sauce, do it before you put your basil in though, because it's nice to have the broken basil leaves, I think. Right. Yeah, to use that one. A little dollop. Don't need much. A little dop-a-doo. I was thinking as well, while I was making my pasta, another thing that I really like to use this sauce for. I don't really use it for bolognese personally. I mean, you could, like you would with your glass of dolmio stuff, but I do use it for meatballs. It does actually work really well with meatballs, I think, and we quite often get meatballs from one of our local supermarkets. So next time there's some meatballs there, why don't you come and grab some and try it with this sauce. It's really, really good. Right. Just making sure that it's all melted. You don't want any lumps of cream cheese in there, do you? Did you know that Parmesan is actually naturally lactose free? Yeah, that's the word. Because of the amount of time that it takes to make it, all the lactose it's disappeared by the time you get it. So for those people that struggle with lactose proteins and stuff, milk, sugars. Parmesan's all right. And any, in fact, hard cheeses that have been matured, I think it's about 18 months and more, they've got a lot less lactose in them than others. So, yeah. Little fact for you. That is delicious, trust me. Oh, this is my favourite. Right, let's see. It smells so good. So, like I say, this is the creamy one. Oh. So, see you guys next week. Don't forget, Wednesday mornings, we've got our Kevrana up at St John's in the Field. Please come along. There's always something to do, some activity going on. So come and get involved. There's always we have the food up there as well. You'll have Paula up there cooking a meal, so come and grab a freshly made meal. It'd just be really cool to see you up there. And like I say, don't forget, come and get your basil and come and get some pasta and have a go and let me know how you get on. See you next week. Bye.